Hi friends. So today the topic is IT Act rules and regulations. I'm going to discuss about how what are the various provisions of the IT Act which can be used by you in case if there is some fraud or any issue. How do you address it? So we are going to do this law. It will be more of a knowledge textual knowledge because law is always section based and lot of text is there. So first and foremost you should understand what is a computer, because computer cyber crimes are crimes which happen using the computer or mobile phones. It is not only limited to or restricted to offenses which are happening at the server level and otherwise. Even the small phone which you use, mobile phones in your hand, even those phones, if something is done wrong using that phone or something happens wrong to you in that device, even that is known as computer offenses. So computer basically is a device which can do four operations, which is input, output, process and storage. uh, and computer system is collection of such devices which are capable of doing input, output, process and storage. So any offense happening at any of these devices or with the use of these devices, it would be termed as a computer offense or a IT offense. Then there are computer networks which are there. Network basically we understand two or more computers that are connected to each other. Communication device is defined in the law. It says that any cell phone, personal digital assistants, combination of both, or any other device used to communicate, send, or transmit any text, video, audio, image. So any device that is capable of sending message, video, audio, text is a communication device, and any offense committed using this device or against those device is covered under the IT Act. Uh, there is there are key terms like data, information and message. You also should be able to understand what does data mean, what does information mean and what does a message mean, because the applicability of the section will vary based on that. So data means any representation of information, knowledge, fact, concepts or instructions that are prepared in a formalized manner. Okay. Information includes process data, image, sound, voice, computer program, software, database or any computer generated output. Database and source code. Computer database means representation of information, knowledge, fact in a retrievable format so that people can again refer it whenever they want. So database basically comprises of fields and records. Computer source code means lines of programs written to execute certain commands. Now it could be the like Facebook is an application, your mobile is a device which has a lot of softwares and applications. So that application which is developed, it is developed using source code. So there are a lot of programming languages available. The programmer developer writes the code, and once the code is executed, it becomes an application. So all the applications you require a computer source code. So there are a lot of cases which happen when computer source code also gets stolen. Computer resource is collection of computer, computer system, computer network, data, database and software. So the law defines various words like computer, computer resource, computer database and so on and so forth. Then there is an important entity called intermediary. Now what is intermediary? Intermediaries are entities which give you a platform to share information, like Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram, Google. These all are Google search engine. They are all intermediaries. They provide you query based response. Whatever query you have, you ask or you type and they give you the response. So search engines gives you response. Apart from that, your telecom service provider, they are also intermediary. Your internet service provider, your cyber cafe service providers, your web hosting companies, online payment sites, online auction sites, online marketplace like Amazon, Flipkart. These are all intermediaries. So what does the intermediary do? On behalf of other person either receive data, store the data or transmit the data in an electronic form. They will not alter or change anything on their own. if they do so, then they can be penalized for that particular wrong, for modification of the information. So intermediary is just a platform. It gives up opportunity for you and me, like Facebook is an intermediary today which helps us to connect. I can host a live video here, you can see me live from your respective mobile phones or laptops. So Facebook is an intermediary. Whatever I speak, you listen. Whatever we communicate, we can exchange among ourselves. But if Facebook changes any communication, then they will be liable for punishment. So intermediaries are any entity which provides a platform for receiving, storing or transmitting data. uh, there are 7-8 sections in the IT Act which covers about the offense part. So one section is section 65 of the IT Act. Now what does this section do? So this section is basically for protecting companies which are paying the developers to make softwares. Suppose there is a company A who wants to make the website. They hire a company B to make their website. So between them there will be an agreement, there has to be executed. Now with this agreement they will have some common terms and conditions of payment and what is expected of this engagement and how much time they will take to make this software. So a company A hires company B, say they have to make a software for which they will be paid 2 lakh rupees, and this software has to be made in 3 months. After that, after the software is made, the software has to be secured, and or any bugs if they are encountered, they need to be rectified. So if this is the agreement already in place between the two companies. Now what happens is the developer who develops this, they will have a payment terms and conditions, say 50% advance, 30% after 70% of the work done, and 30% or 20% at the closure. Now there is some dispute between the parties. This developer does not give the website to the owner who is paying them as per the agreement. So though it is an agreement in place, it's a civil dispute. They will have to fight out in the court for remedy. But if the person changes the source code or tampers with the source code which is already made and the money is already paid to him, then under this section 65, he or she can be punished for tampering with the computer source documents. So this section talks about if there is a issue between a company to company wherein a company does not fulfill a contract and there is some tampering done with the source code uh, of the particular company where they are hired to make this software. Then section 66 talks about computer related offenses. It's a very exhaustive section. Most of the offenses are covered under this section. It has 10 subparts. So section 66, that is computer related offenses, is read with section 43 of the IT Act. Generally in law what happens is you don't have all laws in a chronology format or a simple reading format. You always have to refer to various sections, various laws within the law itself, and even sometimes cross law as well. That means if the offense is not covered under the IT Act, then you have to refer IPC, which is Indian Penal Code. If the offense is not covered under the IPC, say for example if there is a children related offense or a particular offense concerned with women aspect, then there is a special law for child and safety, which is POCSO, prevention of children sexual offenders. So there you will find some law. Then there is a juvenile law, you will find some sections in that particular law. So law is always referred, you know, wherever you will not get one law which will cover everything, because it becomes repetitive. So if something is already covered in one of the law which is a central government law, then you will always find those things which will not repeat in the law. So for cybercrime aspects, depending on the nature of crime, we refer to IT Act, we refer to IPC, we refer to POCSO, we refer to uh, the Press Act, the Broadcast and Information Act as well. We also refer to Constitution of India. So there are 4-5 laws which are referred before a particular case can be classified as a criminal case or a civil case. The difference is, in the criminal case, the focus is to punish the person who has done something wrong. There is no recovery aspect to that. And civil damages is where you, if there is some loss which is occurred to you because of somebody else's act, then you can claim the damages for that loss that you suffered from that person. So that comes under civil remedy or civil damages. And criminal, the focus is to punish. Civil, the focus is to get the damages or compensation for the wrong done by somebody else. So 66 section is computer related offense. So cybercrime as such is a word which is not defined in entire world. Okay, it's a misnomer. uh, the real term that is defined is computer related offense. Now section 43 is read with section 66. It says any person without the permission of the owner or any person who is in charge of a computer system or a network accesses or secure accesses to such computer system or network, then it is an offense. Now what does this mean? In simple words, I have my laptop which is open and I go for getting a glass of water or a glass of coffee or whatever at my workplace or even at my residence. And the person who does not own this laptop, so I am the only owner of this computer. If somebody sees my machine or accesses my laptop without my permission, then he is supposed to have committed a cybercrime, because without the permission of the owner, that is me, he has access to the computer which is only supposed to be accessed by me. So the definition is very exhaustive. Then there is a section which talks about if somebody download, copy or extract any data without the permission. Suppose you are working in a company, you have been given a particular project and a task and your job is to only work on those data, but apart from that you try to download some data which is not supposed to be downloaded by you. Then under this section, if you are found to download or copy data without the permission of the owner, then again it is a computer related offense. Then if somebody sends you a malware or virus which will affect your system or which will compromise the data which is there in your machine or your laptop or your mobile, so whoever introduces or causes to be introduced any software, malicious software, which will result into loss of data to the owner of the device, is also a computer related offense. Then there is a section which talks about damages any computer resource. So say for example, somebody even physically destroys the system, or the data which resides in the system is destroyed by insertion of any malware or software that will harm the computer, then again it is a computer related offense, because under section 43, whoever without the permission of the owner damages any computer resource. So computer resource means computer system, computer network, database. Already the definitions are there in the law. So anybody who does any harm to such resources is liable under this section. Then we have section 43E, which talks about disrupts any of the computer resource or cause disruption of computer system or computer network. Now what does disrupt mean? Say for example, I am using my machine, I am having a Wi-Fi connection at my home and I have to do a very important project, and somebody doesn't want me to do that project on that particular given date and time. So what they will do is they will cut my Wi-Fi wire. So I will fight with my vendor that I have been using the internet services, but somehow I'm not able to connect to it. My connectivity shows that I'm connecting to my Wi-Fi router, but the main source of signal is not coming. So this is one of the examples of disrupt. Other could be where you are wanting to use a banking system and the entire banking system is down. See, generally the banks will have inform you that on a particular date and time for 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours, they will put the systems down to do a reconciliation or do a system upgrade. Apart from this, the computers will never be down. If somebody disrupts their connectivity which is used for connecting the customers and the bank server, then again disruption of computer resource can be attracted, so it is an offense under this section. Then there is a section which talks about deny or cause the denial of access. What does this mean? Suppose I am an authorized person to use my phone, my laptop, my mobile, but somebody manages to get my password and pin and he puts a new password and pin which I don't know and he locks my phone. So this device belongs to me. I have the phone bill, I have paid for the phone, I have paid for the computer, but I had given it he got the access for some way, and he has put a password in such a way that I cannot use this. So generally the ransomware cases, ransomware is a term which is used when somebody puts a malicious software in your computer, all your data gets encrypted, then they ask you for bitcoin amount, some money, then they will say that we will give you a decryption key to decrypt the data. So this ransomware instances are where they try to first control your data, then they ask money from you, that is the ransom, and then the file will be available. So there are instances where people have paid ransom and they have got their data. There are instances when people have paid the ransom money but still they have not been able to get their data. So you have to be very cautious and try to avoid dealing with these people. Always have a backup of your data, so that even if the data gets corrupted through ransomware, you can use the backup data and continue your work. So this is nothing but denial or causes the denial of access to a authorized computer resource by any means. Then provides any assistance. So I'll give you one example. What happened was, there was one bank, a branch in one area. One of the employee of that bank, what he did, he opened the statements of somebody who they are not supposed to open. Like for example, if I go to my bank, the my bank is obligated to give me information regarding my bank account and my balances. But if I go and ask information about you, and we are not related either by blood or otherwise, bank cannot give me information, because the information, that is the financial information, is a critical information. It is private to you, it is your secure information. So nobody can get information of other third party. So what this employee did, he opened the statements of the third person without their consent, and from the mobile phone they took the screenshot photo, and those were shared on the WhatsApp to that person. And then the person who received this used that screenshot in a court proceeding for showing the transactions. So here it is actually data theft and privacy breach of the person, because the unauthorized person has gained the access to the statement without the permission of the owner. If this happens and this continues to happen, you can imagine everybody can go to any bank and get statements. So this is something which is very critical. So this section talks about provides any assistance. So if somebody like this bank manager, who did, what did he do, he provided assistance to somebody to get confidential information of the other person, then also that is covered under the cyber crime or computer related offense. We will use the term computer related offense because the ITF defines the term computer related offense. It does not define the term cyber crime. Then charges the service availed to others. Now for example, earlier we used to have a dial-up connection. So anybody with the dial-up number and the dial-up password, you can connect your phone and then you can use the service. But now that has stopped. So nobody is using dial-up. Everything is everybody one is having access to internet thanks to Jio. Because of that, everybody is getting free data. Today the data rate are cheapest in the world. 1 GB data is almost 5 rupees or 4 rupees 80 paisa of 1 GB. Earlier we used to pay 500 rupees for 1 GB. That to 2G and 3G and GPRS. Now it is all Mbps, it is all broadband. So if somebody has subscribed for a service, like for example somebody, most of the times company procure the data card. Each data card has a bandwidth limit, 6 GB, 4 GB, 5 GB. So when you plug in the data card, your internet connection starts directly. Earlier there were passwords which were there, so one without the password or the pin you could not start the internet even if the data card was available with you. But nowadays they all are plug and play. So if somebody steals this data card, uses the internet, and the GB which is there is zero occupied or utilized, then if so under the charges the service category, this is an offense because the person without the permission of the owner took the data card and used the entire GB which was available in the data card. So this is like a internet theft or services theft. Then there is a section which talks about destroy, delete, or alter information in the computer resource. So the example could be one of the person, I have my laptop which is on, I'm working on some accounting data, and I forget to lock my system or save the data, and I have to, I am on the call or I go for a coffee break. By the time I come, I see that the data which I was working on, somebody has changed it or altered it. So that is also an offense under the IT Act. And somebody who steals, conceals, or destroys any computer source code with the intention to cause damage. So if somebody steals the data from my computer and uses for their personal financial gain, then also this is an computer related offense. There was one section called section 66A that got scrapped in the month of March 2015 because it was indicated that the section is unconstitutional it was unconstitutional. The definition was punishment for sending offensive messages through communication service. This got scrapped in 2015, so we will not talk more about it, but be sure that 66A cannot be applied in the FIR. We still see that, by mistake the officers put 66A as a section in the offense. The entire case, importance of the case gets diluted if such wrong sections are applied. So that has to be very clear. And any offense, when you go to the police station, it is the law enforcement, there is a police officer who will be putting the sections, because they have the power to apply the sections on the offense that is committed. Then one of the other provisions in the IT Act, it covers about punishment for dishonestly receiving stolen computer resource or communication device. Say for example, your mobile phone is lost. If once the mobile phone is lost, it is very negligible that you will be able to get your phone unless you configure the anti-lock facility and the find device services, which are enabled. It is very difficult to find the phone. If the phone is found out and somebody who is using it without the authorized bill or proof of purchase, then, and if that phone is a stolen phone which is sold in the market and somebody buys a second-hand phone, then under this section, punishment for dishonestly receiving stolen computer device, communication device, he or she can be punished. Then the one section is about section 66C, which is very very important. It is about punishment for identity theft. Yesterday we spoke about banking frauds and prevention. So this section basically talks about if somebody steals your identity online and misrepresents you by compromising your password or any other unique feature like card, banking details, banking password, banking username, then that person can also be punished for the fraud or offense which they have committed. So 66C is a section in the IT Act which talks about punishment for identity theft. Then we have a section 66D which talks about punishment for cheating by personation by using computer resource. So if the person knows that he or she is doing something wrong and they continue to do something wrong and cheat somebody, then under this section it is also an offense. Then we have section 66E that talks about punishment for violation of privacy. Now this privacy is actually restricted to body parts. It is not about the personal data privacy. So if somebody captures your body parts and photos without the permission or consent, then they can be punished under 66E. Mostly in the family court matters, when we get cases where when everything is good between the couple, they take the photos when they are intimate and then they misuse it and abuse it. So under this section, if there was no consent taken, then it can be an offense. Then we have section 66F. This is a very dangerous section because the punishment for this offense is life imprisonment. If anybody is found to do cyber terrorism against the nation, against the sovereignty and integrity of the nation, then they can be punished under 66F section, which is about cyber terrorism. So it is a very very strict section because punishment for life, and it is a non-bailable offense. So once the person is arrested under 66F terrorism, he will not get the bail. The other sections are bailable offenses, so once you are arrested you can get the bail. Then there is a section called section 67. This is about punishment for sending obscene material in electronic form. So if you are sending offensive or obscene messages through electronic form, and if somebody who receives this message does not appreciate or like this, then he can do a complaint against you and you can be punished for that. There was a very interesting case which happened some 7 years back, where one of the person was sending an email. Email was sent, the person wanted to send the email to Ankit, his friend, but by mistake in the address book the email went to Ankita, and what content was there was he had sent a video of people peeing on the road. So that is obscene content in the electronic form, and then this guy had to lose the job. He also lost his job and there was a criminal action against him. So you have to be very careful and clear when you write emails, that the person whom you are writing the email address should be properly typed. By mistake don't select it from the address book. Always make a habit of typing your email address. This can help you save from lot of offenses that may happen online. Then section 67A it talks about adult pornography, and section 67B talks about child pornography. Both are non-bailable offense, and child pornography is a global offense. Adult pornography is actually legal in some countries. That's why it is not banned. In India, it is so viewing is not a offense, but downloading, distributing, and forwarding is an offense. So that is the Supreme Court judgment on that already available. Then police has the power to search. So police can search anyone anywhere if they suspect that it is a cognizable offense. No warrant is required, so be careful if you have some illegal data on the phone. The police, if required, and if they find you suspect, they can check your phone devices, and you have to cooperate with them. You cannot say no. uh, Apart from that, there is a section on punishment for breach of confidentiality. So if the employer between them, if the employee does something wrong, and without the consent or knowledge, or with the intention to cause loss to the employer, if he do some act, then under the IT Act even he can be punished for that. Then we have a lot of IPC sections which can be used when IT Act does not classify. So if it is defamation online by email, then IPC 499 500 can be there. Forgery of electronic record, if somebody manipulates the document, somebody tampers with the invoices, then forgery of electronic record is covered under the IPC. Then bogus websites and frauds, they are all covered under cheating. Most of the banking frauds and online net banking frauds are covered under cheating. Email spoofing, if somebody misrepresents or impersonates the other side. Online sales of medicines which are not allowed to be sold, or drugs and narcotic substance which are banned, if those are sold online, that also can be covered under the IPC. Then criminal breach of trust, you have modesty out by outraging the modesty or by word, gesture, or act of a woman, even that is covered under the IPC. Then you have threatening, if somebody threatens you, then IPC section 503 is covered for threatening also. So so combination of IT Act and IPC, we get to ensure that people are action is taken against those people when there is some action which is happening wrongly. Then if suppose you are on the receiving end and there is one uh, financial fraud that happens to you, so what do? You have to go to the police station first, wherever you stay, to do a local police complaint to register the offense for the loss. Then after, depending on what and how the offense is committed, you can either approach the consumer court for deficiency of the financial entity, or you can go to the Mantralay. There is a special cyber court, that is the IT adjudicating officers court. The IT secretary of the state is the judge, special judge for this. In India we have this 29 states, so each state has a IT secretary. So there are 29 judges for this, separate entire state, one judge is there. And under the IT Act, if you want to claim any damages or any compensation for a wrongful gain or a loss by somebody which happened to you, you can take this route of IT adjudicating officers forum, and you can claim that money that you have lost and you have suffered from that. Then there is one question from Abhijit which says, I heard Zoom is not safe for video con call or can be hacked easily. Can you throw some input? So right now what has happened is CERT-In has already come with the advisory of Zoom vulnerability. They've also come with settings and how to patch it up. So basically, if your Zoom is a open meeting without the regulatory or the security controls which are already offered by the product, then it is the issue. Otherwise it is not. However, there are other softwares in comparison to Zoom. You can use GoToMeeting, you can use Zoho Meetings, you can use WebEx. There is a open source tool as well which can be used, where you can host the meeting yourself. But currently Zoom had some vulnerability, and right now the patching also and the document on how to secure it is already released by the certain government of India. So under the IT Act, CERT, that is the Computer Emergency Response Team India, they have a special power to block a website, monitor the content and stuff, and they always come with a periodic awareness on incidents which are at a national level. So you can refer the certain website, you can subscribe for their alerts, so that whenever there is a new vulnerability which is found out, the alert is sent to you on your mail and you can be updated with the knowledge. Parminder Singh Multani asks about online cyber law course. Now, cyber law course is something where we do a lot of webinars and sessions where we can do a training, but that is something which we don't want to market here in this free session. But we can